In this video, we're going to be exploring the Forge app building process, and folks, we're going to get even more technical. So if you thought the last couple of videos were technical, then make sure you are ready for this one because we are definitely getting way more technical, and we're not in Kansas anymore. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let's jump into it. So by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to describe the key steps in the Forge development lifecycle and recognize the file and folder structure and their uses in the local Forge app project. Building an app using Forge. Building an app in Forge has four main steps. You want to create, you want to develop, you want to deploy, and you want to install. I'm not sure how create and develop are different, but to me, they're the same thing. So let's look at what happens in each stage. So you have the create. This is a picture that doesn't do anything. Let's go down here. We have the create. So the first step is to create the app structure. Okay, so we're talking about literally making a folder in your computer. So to start building with Forge, you first need to create a base file structure locally as a scaffolding for your app. This is done using the command line interface with Forge CLI, Forge create. So we're gonna literally type in this command as you can see here, and then it's gonna do its thing. So when you run the Forge create command, Forge will walk you through a short interactive setup, prompting you with a few questions about your app. So you type in Forge create, and then you're going to enter the name of your app. So what's this going to look like in Forge and in your Atlassian site? Choose a descriptive name. You can change it later if you need to. Then we have the context. You're going to be asked to choose a product such as Jira or Confluence that best fit your app. This choice helps Forge tailor the available templates to the product you're targeting. Then we select the category. The category helps Forge determine what kind of app structure to start you off with. Categories include options like UI kit, custom UI, or triggers and validators. Choose based on how you plan to interact with users or respond to events. For example, use UI kit or custom UI to create visual components or trigger webhook automation style apps. And then finally, we have the template. Templates are starter apps for specific use cases that serve as a starting point for creating your Forge app. Each template includes example code for the app and typically includes one or more modules and a UI implementation. So when you run the Forge create command, several key setup tasks are automatically handled in the background to get your app ready for development. During the create process, Forge downloads your app by generating a new local folder and setting up the necessary file structure. This includes key files like the manifest YAML and a starter template based on the context and category you've selected, such as UI kit, giving you a work code base to start from. Hi, I quickly wanted to interrupt your video to let you know about something big that I've been working on. I'm working on the Big Book of Atlassian, and this is going to be given exclusively away to attendees that show up to the Atlassian Builders Summit happening October 22nd through the 24th in Long Beach, California. This is a completely free event, a completely free book that you can only get if you come to our in-person event. This is something that's super awesome. I am really happy to be putting this together. You can only get this in person. So make sure that you attend our very free event. All you need to worry about is your travel accommodations. We do have discounts for hotels. Use that link down below. Sign up for the Atlassian Builders Conference, and I hope to see you in October. And come secure your free copy of the Big Book of Atlassian. I'll see you in October. Registers your app by assigning it a unique identifier within the Forge platform, which allows you to manage, deploy, and track it. Creates your app's environment, developing, staging, and production, and installs the required dependencies for your app to run properly, including any libraries or packages used in the template. So once we've done that, we have a file structure in our computer that has all the necessary files that we're going to need to then be productive and be able to develop the app. So on developing the app, we're going to examine the project's file structure. So after you create the app, the next step is to develop it. So this is where you define what your app does and how it behaves. Folks, this is the hard part. Developing it is really hard, or at least harder than all the other steps. The Forge create generates a new app directory locally where it downloads a project structure based on the template you selected. This folder contains everything you need to start building and customizing your Forge app. Now that your Forge app is created, the development process involves editing a few key files to control how the app looks, behaves, and interacts with Atlassian apps. You'll be editing these files locally in your code editor. And so we're going to be editing the manifest YAML. We've already talked about this in the previous video. Make sure you watch that one if you haven't already. But this is where you're going to define what your app does and where it works in the manifest YAML. This file is the core configuration and the recipe for your Forge app. You'll edit it to adjust your app's capabilities and define the modules. Edit it to change the app's name, specific display conditions to control the visibility of your app modules, add or modify modules. These are features your app provides, like Jira issue panel or Confluence macro. Request new permissions for your work app, like, for example, access to your work data. We then have the source. So within the app directory folder is the source subdirectory. This contains your app's backend logic, and depending on the template you choose, may include the app front end and the UI components as well. And so you can see there's a front end in this index.jsx, and the JSX file, JavaScript, defines the UI and the front end app logic in the app source front end index.jsx. This is the file where you define a module's functions and appearance. It is the file that Forge looks for first when executing the module. Edit this file when you build or customize a user interface using UIKit components. Need app logic that runs in the front end, like rendering fields, buttons, and views. Connect a module to the backend, like via a resolver. Not all Forge apps need a UI. Some only run in the backend logic using modules like triggers, webhooks, or scheduled functions. You may see other files within the folder, such as package.json or gitignore, but we won't be covering those in details. Then, after you've developed it, which again is the hard part, right? Expect it to not take seconds. This is going to take you a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 or hours, if not days, if not weeks, if not months, to create, develop your app. But once you do that, then you want to deploy your app. And so when you're ready to test your app in the cloud, use the command Forge deploy. The Forge deploy command uploads your app code to the Forge staging platform's development environment. Deployment is necessary before you can install or run your app in the Atlassian app instance, like Jira or Confluence. If you make changes to your code or configuration, you'll need to redeploy for those updates to take effect. Each deployment also includes automatic validation of your app structure, ensuring that errors are caught before installation. And then finally, if you manage to get through all of that, then you get to install. So after deploying, you need to install the app on the Atlassian site by running the command Forge install. Running Forge install for your app makes it available for testing and use within that site. So that's what we've learned. So match each of the steps in Forge to its correct description. So develop. Develop is write the app in your, I think this is correct. So these go together. Create is going to use the Forge CLI. Yep. Deploy is going to write your apps to the Atlassian cloud, and install is going to add the app. Okay, here we go. So we got these all right. Emma is reviewing the file structure of a newly created Forge app. She needs to identify which file is crucial for defining the app's configuration and capabilities. Which file should Emma focus on? She needs to identify which file is the app. Okay, so that's going to be the manifest file. That's where those names are stored. Yay, we finished this and we've earned a badge. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like, because we have finished the Get Started with Forge course. And next, we're going to go and actually build and deploy our first app. And so this is going to be an exciting time. So if you're following along, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you come back though, because we are going to continue our journey on building our very first app with Forge.